Hi, I'm Zach Norman, and I am the trainer here at DoggieLawn, and we are here to help. Let's go over the basics so you understand how this works. The first thing you should know is training is not hard, but it can be time consuming. And before we get into it, I want you to know that what I'm going to take you through is not going to hurt your dog in any way. A lot of people call with concerns about how the health of their dog may be affected, or that they may feel that their dog is not up for this or whatever. But just understand that the training and the techniques and all the hundreds of dogs that I've trained to do this, no one has ever reported a dog getting hurt. So that's the first thing to keep in mind. So your dog is safe. It's not hard, but it could take some time. So there's a couple terms I want you to be familiar with. One is what I call a training session, and the other is what I call a training event. The third one is what I call focused training. Let's start going through those backwards, starting with focused training. What you've been doing is probably not focused training. It's fine. Many dogs don't need focused training, right? It kind of works. You have a treat there, the dog does it, you give the dog the treat, it kind of works out. The dog understands pretty easily. That happens to be lucky. A lot of people get lucky in that regard. But because you're watching this video, you may not be one of those people who's so lucky. That's okay, because we're going to do focused training. Okay, moving on from focused training, we have the notion of a training session. A training session starts with a full bladder and it ends with a urination. It can be a day, a part of a day, or multiple days, okay? But a training session is where you've decided, I'm gonna set aside the time and get this dog trained, all right? A training event is where you actually take the dog, put the dog onto the unit, and say go potty with a treat in your pocket. And I'm gonna go over all of this. So again, we're talking about focused training, which includes training sessions and training events. Okay, so I'm going to go through what a training session is like. We like to start in the morning because the dog has been sleeping all night and has been, quote unquote, cooking up urine and feces, okay, ready to be trained. Now, there's no guarantee that they're actually ready that moment in the morning, but they're more likely than not, so that's why we start in the morning. What we do is we take the dog to the unit and we have a training event. Okay, I'm going to go over training event in a second. We have a training event. If the dog does not pee during the training event, the dog goes back in the crate. Why do I say crate? It doesn't have to be a crate, but it needs to be a place where the dog is not going to have an accident. Okay, because that's all we're doing in the times where the dog is not doing an actual training event. We want to have the dog in a crate so that they are not going to have an accident, because if they have an accident, then they have a urination, which means that the training session ends. Remember, training session starts with a full bladder and ends with a urination. So we just want to minimize the chance that you're wasting your time after a dog has an accident. So the dog goes back in the crate. The first question I always ask people when they're training is they've looked over some of the materials and maybe they've started themselves. Many dogs take to the DoggieLawn immediately and they start using it, and that's great. I ask people, how long do you take when you train? How long does it take between the time you introduce the dog to the unit, if it doesn't work, and then you give up and take the dog on a walk? And the answer is always like somewhere between 15 minutes and 5 hours. And the first thing I need to say to people is, it's not enough time. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking. Oh my God, I can't put little Sally through this. No, it's not torture for them. You're the alpha. You decide when and where your dog pees. You're the alpha, okay? Don't worry. The dog will have an accident before the dog hurts himself or herself. But remember, the dog can hold it a lot longer than you think. Let me say that again. The dog can hold it a lot longer than you think. We do those training events every hour, 24, 48 hours, and to see when the dog, so we're waiting for the dog to cook up the urine and not have an expectation of being taken on a walk. Okay, now we're going to go through a training event. I'm here with Pancake, and I'm going to take Pancake and place Pancake on the unit. Sometimes people come with their leash, but the leash is not required. Watch what happens. This is how I prefer to do it. Okay, I'm going to place the dog on the unit. I'm going to use my command word, and in my pocket right now I have the treat ready to be given. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this, show you what a training event looks like. Go potty. Go potty. Go potty. Go potty. Go potty. Go potty. Pancake, go potty. Go potty. Go potty. Go potty. Didn't work this time. She goes back in the crate. Pancake, go potty. Go potty. Shows interest in sniffing, let her sniff. Go potty. Okay, this dog's not ready to go yet. Another training event, taking the dog out of the crate. We're going to place the dog on the unit and say go potty. Go potty. I have the treat in my pocket ready to give. Pancake, go potty. Go back in the crate. Try again a little bit later. Anyway, now we're back. It's been an hour. Dog's been in the crate. We're going to try another training event. Back in the crate. Okay, it's been another hour. Go potty. 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 Try a little bit later. Okay, training event. Go potty. Go potty. Pancake, go potty. Potty. Go potty. Okay, we'll try a little bit later.
Go potty.
Good girl, good girl. Yay, good girl. So let's recap. We're going to do focused training. Focused training has a day set aside for a training session. And in that, every hour, we're going to do training events. When we're not doing a training event, we're not letting the dog run around, we're not having accidents, and we're not letting the dog sleep, eat, chew, hang out on the unit. Okay, it's really important. Dog goes into the crate, okay? Because once the dog starts to use it correctly, the dog will stop all of those other behaviors. They don't eat where they pee, they don't sleep where they pee, and they don't pee where they sleep. So we want to get that behavior done in a solid and focused way. During the training event, we take the dog physically, place them on the unit facing in the same direction, and say go potty. We have a treat in our pocket ready to be given. Okay, let's say you were successful. What now? Okay, fine. You know what? You're successful. The dog went potty. You gave the dog a treat. You say, good girl, good boy, yeah, you. And then you take the dog and do whatever you want. Go for a walk, live your life, have the dog in the crate or not. And remember, you can start another training session as soon as you want to. So for example, many of my clients do one in the morning. They find the dog maybe pees on the unit at 3 p.m. They go for a walk, dog comes back, super happy, have dinner, da-da-da. Maybe the dog's starting to fill up its bladder again. Let's start another training session at 6:30 p.m. No problem. There's no requirement that it starts in the morning. It just has to start when you think the dog might have a full bladder. And you'll begin to cultivate that understanding about your dog. Oh, one little note. Don't get so excited the first time it happens where the dog starts to pee and you go, good girl, good girl. You're so excited immediately it's because the dog is doing what you're doing. Let them finish because they'll pucker. They'll look at you and go, oh, cool, I get the thing now. But they won't go entirely. Keep also in mind that it's possible that your dog doesn't fully go when you say go potty. So the dog goes potty. Sometimes if you see accidents around the house, you may need to do a double where you say go potty, give the dog a treat, put the dog right back on and go potty if you think the dog has urine in its bladder. Obviously have another treat ready just in case that happens. Now let's talk about other tricks you can do. One of the tricks we like to do is we like to scent the unit with the scent of another dog. And this is how you do that. It's very simple. You take either an old sponge or you take a stack of paper towels that you make into a sponge, and you get it liberally wet and you put it inside a sandwich bag. Zip it closed. Go to a place that is not near your house, okay? Go to a place where you know the dogs are foreign dogs, okay? I like to go to the vet, out in front of the vet. Find the spot that all the dogs go, dab the wet sponge to that area and put it back in the bag. Come back to the unit and wring it out of the plastic bag onto the spot. Now you'll notice before I talked about always setting the dog in the same orientation back onto the unit and saying going potty. And we do that because we place the scent underneath the nose of the dog where we're placing the dog on the unit so the dog can smell the scent. This step is not required, but it does help supercharge the process, okay? And especially if dogs are being stubborn or you want to do it faster, this is a way to do it. It's just scent with another dog. But just understand that the dog upstairs, even though your dogs may have never met, the dog upstairs, or maybe your cousin who lives down the street or your dog's met and played with, there's no guarantee that your dog thinks of that dog as a foreign dog. Keep in mind that dogs are pack animals, which means that any dog that they perceive in their pack, they will not overmark because it's not foreign. The pack knows the smells of the dogs that are in their pack. And one thing I have noticed that's very interesting is dogs that are nearby that your dog may not have ever even met can be considered in the pack. So you don't know what your dog is thinking. So you've got to go and get a scent from a very foreign source, or a definitively foreign source is what I would say. Let's talk a little bit about the theory about dog urine, okay? Dogs are creatures that use their urine for a task that we as people don't do. They use it to mark their territory. So it's important not to over personify your dog. When your dog is scratching at the door saying, "Mommy, mommy, let me out, let me out," the dog is not saying, "Mommy, mommy, it hurts so bad I have to pee." The dog is saying, "Mommy, mommy, I really want to go out in the world and mark my territory. It's mine, mommy." That's what the dog is saying. So what we do is we understand that the dog uses urine as a waste to get rid of waste products, but it uses it equally to mark its territory. Let me give you an analogy. I don't know what the terms are because I've never been in a gang, but you know those gang members who write the name of their gang on a wall and then they go around their territory and they write their gang sign on the wall. And then other gangs, when they see it, overwrite it. And that's how gangs in like urban centers know the boundaries of their territories, because you see like the names of the gangs overwritten and then rewritten in spray paint. Right? And a dog marking its territory is like that. Each time it overmarks, it's reinforcing the chemical boundaries of its territory. Different packs of dogs understand when they're in another dog's territory and what the implications of that are. So your dog has a million-year-old or created by God, whatever you're thinking, they have a built-in desire to go out and mark, and that desire also is accompanied with some kind of dopamine or serotonin cascade in their brain that makes them feel good when they do it. So what we're doing with the treat is we're overriding that behavior. And understand that your dog feels like it needs to do that. And stretching the analogy perhaps a little bit, but so you understand it, a gang member who has a can of spray paint that needs to use it within a certain amount of time, okay, is going to be a bad gang member, right? Or a gang member who has to use all the spray paint in their can at once. When they start spraying, they have to spray it till it's empty. So you can see that dogs do not need to go all at once, nor do they have to go on a specific schedule like you do. So understand that your dog is much more in control of their bladder than you are.